think about romance, babe?
What do I think about backpacking across Europe? I think that is the much more germane question.
Oh. This one time.
So, this one time.
This one time?
This one time.
This one time.
Oh my god, this one time?
The podcast.
Hi, Sheila and Evo. This is Jasmine from Cebu in the Philippines. I have been in a relationship for quite some time now, and at first, the romance was amazing. He would take me to beautiful fancy dinners, get away weekends, bring me gifts at work, etc. But as of late, nothing. Zilch. How do I bring back the romance? And the even bigger question is that we are looking at backpacking throughout Europe. How do we keep the romance alive then? Thank you, Sheila and Evo.
Jasmine, that's an amazing question. Thanks for asking. I'm Sheila D.
And I am Evo Terra. We are Shivo, and you are listening to This One Time, the podcast.
What do you think about romance, babe?
What do I think about backpacking across Europe? I think that is the much more germane question to what she has said. And by the way,
you've done it so many times.
I think that's a terrible idea.
Romance and backpacking across Europe, or just backpacking across Europe, or just romance?
Well, that's an interesting way to dissect that. We should take those all individually. First off, backpacking. Terrible idea.
You don't even like to wear the backpack to the BTS.
Which is why, clearly, I think backpacking is a terrible idea.
This is why you never backpacked in your 20s.
No. There's a different thing. Throwing a rucksack over your shoulder and heading out for a quick hike in the mountains is a very different thing than backpacking.
Oh, I'm quite aware.
That's its own special brand of travel, which I find smelly.
Why?
Have you not been around backpackers?
No, I have. I just want you to explain to our listeners.
They are smelly creatures, number one.
Every single one of them?
Yes. Let me do a quick survey. Yes. All of them are smelly people.
Okay.
I think it's something about the backpack itself, which is really nothing more than a duffel bag or a gym bag with an extra, some shoulder strapping and perhaps some lumbar support, really. But when you break all of that away and look at it, it's a giant duffel bag, a giant gym bag. And what do giant and or regular-sized duffel bags and gym bags smell like?
Dirty socks.
Smelly, dirty gym socks. Exactly right. That's why. It's not the people. It's the fact that they're carrying around on their back this bag which is packed with nothing but smelly gym socks. That is why.
Okay, so back to the question.
Europe was her next question. Across Europe. No.
I don't think it matters where.
Listen, don't do anything across Europe. Because
I would like to eat my way across Europe.
No, you would not like to eat your way across Europe. And let me explain to you why you would not like to eat your way across Europe. Europe is, as far as continents go, on the smallish side.
Yes.
But the type of travel she is speaking of, and you are speaking of now, is a slow and prodding journey across Europe.
I want to go by train.
You've got maybe 3 weeks where Europe is an okay place to be. The other 59 weeks of 40... The other...
weeks a year?
My math is off. The other 49 weeks of the year, it's cold and rainy, nonstop. It's terrible.
Is true. It is cold and rainy.
Now, I'm basing that on my experience, or my extensive...
6 months?
My extensive 6-week experience when we have done that.
No, we were there for 6 months.
Then I am vindicated. It was horrible for 6 months.
It was not horrible. You're just whining.
So, no. Don't mind the food. Food was good.
Food was good.
But it's more like a pop in for lunch and pop out.
Can we do that this weekend?
So that was backpacking. That was Europe. What else?
Romance.
I don't remember. Backpacking in Europe. There was something else.
Romance?
Something else she mentioned. Something about the Philippines. The Philippines were nice.
Yes.
You should just stay in the Philippines, Jasmine. That was a really nice place. Just get the hell out of Manila because, terrible.
Romance.
Right, romance. What was the question again?
How do you keep the romance alive? And
Not-
specifically when you're backpacking across Europe.
Okay. Again, you got smelly gym socks all over you. You're in a freezing cold environment for 49 weeks out of the year.
Wait. Before you go there, how do you keep the romance alive? What are your thoughts on romance?
What are
first?
my thoughts on romance?
Curious minds want to know. Wait, I want to know.
I am a giant fan of romance.
With others?
I have nothing against romance. You need to keep the romance alive. You need to keep
How are you doing that?
nonstop sexy time.
We're not going there on this show.
Listen, but I don't understand why not, because that's the ultimate goal of romance. Maybe not at that given moment or that hour or even that day, but the ultimate goal of romance is sexy time.
I think that's your ultimate goal anytime.
Sure it is. Go forth and multiply. Big fan of the Bible too, where it said to go forth and multiply part.
I don't think that's...
Which is why I support romance wholeheartedly, because it ultimately leads to sexy time.
So what was the last romantic thing you did? Wait, we should probably talk about what constitutes romance.
Okay, talk about that, honey. What constitutes romance?
Well, I don't think it has to be those big over-the-top gestures. I think it can be things like making your coffee in the morning.
Right, I do that for you every single morning.
I know.
I make your tuna salad every single morning.
Or hummus, fresh.
I toss your tuna salad. No, wait, we're going back on the sexy time stuff again.
Stop it.
Yeah, I think romance has a variety of facets and looks to it. It's not necessarily what you find in a Hallmark card.
Definitely not.
It doesn't mean bringing home flowers every day, though I have brought home flowers more than one occasion. I haven't since we've been in this condo. That's because there's not a florist right very close to the grocery store.
We've been here 11 months.
Listen. How many times did I bring you flowers in the prior condo in Bangkok?
Several
Times, exactly. It's not my fault. We no longer live next to a Tesco with a florist inside that makes it uber convenient for me. Where have you seen a florist on this side of the Chao Phraya River in Bangkok?
I think I don't know. I saw them in Chinatown.
That
Is on the
dear
other
listener,
side.
is not on this side of the Chao Phraya River. That is somewhere else. Which is weird. Here's the thing about Bangkok. Buying flowers in Bangkok doesn't necessarily mean they're for your sweetheart. You buy flowers in Bangkok to hang on your rearview mirror and other sorts of weird things to do as part of the Buddhist tradition.
Yeah.
People will walk up. This is kind of wild. You'll be standing, in my case, sitting on a motorbike, waiting in traffic, or in a car, sitting in traffic, waiting for the light to turn, and someone selling these wreaths of flowers that they painstakingly put together, like strands of garland. Think popcorn on a string for your Christmas tree. But
that is what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks just like that.
It's pretty, though.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing. But these ladies and men will come walking between these stacks of cars waiting to turn left or right with flowers that they just hand out and sell for not a lot of money. And flowers are a big part of the culture here in Thailand. And I would bet you, and I don't have the information, nor do I have the inclination to look up the information.
I was going to ask.
that more flowers are utilized in Thailand for religious ceremonies, let's call them.
Yeah, ceremonial.
Than anything else. Now, I'll bet you, if you looked back at Western, and we'll just simply say American culture, a significant amount of the flowers that are sold likely go to funerals and other sorts of observances as opposed to the one-off romantic gesture. Sick
Right.
people in hospitals, births and deaths and various things. Probably romance lies pretty far down on the totem pole of purchases. How did I get from romance to religion and death and like dead babies? What the hell?
I'm a very lucky woman.
That's what romance is all about. Finding a way to steer the conversation back to the economics of religious purchases of flowers.
I don't think we've fully answered that question.
We've done
I think
a darn
we've
fine
touched on
job.
it, but I don't think you've fully answered what your thoughts are.
You're welcome, Jasmine. Good luck. Get rid of the smelly socks. Hop in as opposed to backpack across Europe. And romance is good as long as you're willing to recognize what the end process would be. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the whole problem right now, that Jasmine and the unnamed boyfriend, was it a boyfriend or a husband?
Boyfriend, I think.
I think it was a boyfriend as well. I could listen to find out what the right answer is, but I'm too lazy for that. Maybe they have a very different opinion on what romance should be.
Maybe. I think a lot of people do.
Maybe this guy is all about the box of chocolate crap. And she's thinking, dude, I'm in the Philippines. You don't buy a box of chocolate in the Philippines unless you bring your whole refrigeration truck. It's just a giant chocolate mess. Maybe this guy's just a moron and needs to understand that romance really is sexy time.
Maybe she needs to get rid of him.
Maybe so. Go with someone who's just looking to have a quick roll in the hay. Would be a good way to do it.
I don't think that's the advice she was looking for either, to get rid of him. And just so you know, we're not licensed marriage therapists. You should not take our advice.
Well, yeah, we are licensed, just not in this country. Or the one
Or
you're
any.
listening from.
Or any.
And I still say we fully answered that question.
I don't think so.
Speaking of questions, we would love to take your question. This is what we're doing on this season of This
We
One
might
Time.
eventually answer one.
I answered this one completely. And if you have a burning question that you need to have answered that the two of us clearly have ultimate knowledge over, just go to shivo.wtf/call us, and we will get that question on the air in a future show and give you a wonderful, fun-filled answer. shivo.wtf/call us from your mobile phone, from your computer, from your mom's, no, not your mom's phone because she doesn't have a smartphone. Relatively straightforward. Get on the program. We'll see you next week.
Are we going to talk about Patreon?
Oh, right. Patreon.
I think you should talk about Patreon.
Patreon is not doing all that great for us, I got to tell you. Our old fans from the prior seasons of the show are continuing, but you new people falling down on the job. See, here's the deal. We do this show every week, except for last week, because we love it, and it's a lot of fun, and we know you guys get a charge out of it as well. If you really think that, and you really want to show your support, go to shivo.wtf/Patreon and pledge a couple of bucks. You'll get extra bonus content. That's when I say things that are even worse than the advice I just gave here on the air. And also you get the show a full day early before anybody else gets it. So again, go to shivo.wtf/Patreon and sign up. It helps us keep the show going.
Our music is by Valea Valea.
Thanks for listening, listener. I am Evo Terra.
And I'm Sheila D.
Subscribe to the show and rate us on Apple Podcast or Laughable or Overcast or whatever the hell you use to listen to the show every single week. More advice and life lessons coming up from us next week on This One Time. Cheers!